In a sudden turn of events, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio's flight to the Munich Security Conference was forced to return to Joint Base Andrews late Thursday due to a mechanical issue. According to a statement from the State Department, the problem involved a cracked cockpit windshield on the aircraft, which is a modified Boeing 757 known as a C-32. The incident occurred approximately 90 minutes into the flight, prompting immediate action to ensure the safety of all on board. State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce confirmed that the aircraft returned safely to Maryland around 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Secretary Rubio intends to continue his travel to Germany and the Middle East on a separate aircraft, Bruce stated, ensuring that the Secretary is still committed to participating in key discussions at the Munich Security Conference set for this weekend. As Rubio prepares for his journey, he will be joining a high-profile delegation that includes Vice President J.D. Vance and a bipartisan group of 18 lawmakers led by Senators Lindsey Graham and Sheldon Whitehouse. This year's conference is particularly critical as it is expected to address pressing global security concerns, notably the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine, which dominated discussions in the previous year. Rubio's itinerary following the conference includes meetings with senior officials in Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. The trip represents a significant diplomatic effort to promote U.S. interests in advancing regional cooperation and peace. The State Department has highlighted that topics such as the Israel-Hamas ceasefire and hostage negotiations will be priorities during these discussions. While the mechanical issue may have caused a temporary delay, it raises questions about the logistical challenges faced by high-ranking officials during international trips. Such incidents underscore the importance of rigorous maintenance and safety protocols for government aircraft, especially when transporting key figures involved in national and international security policy. In a separate but related incident, Munich authorities reported a vehicle plowing into a crowd, resulting in numerous injuries and being classified as a suspected attack. This has heightened security concerns as the Munich Security Conference approaches, emphasizing the need for robust safety measures for delegates attending. As Secretary Rubio embarks on his journey on a smaller aircraft, the implications of these developments remain to be seen. His ability to attend crucial meetings, including a scheduled discussion with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, will be closely monitored. The unfolding events in Munich may set the tone for future international collaborations and responses to global security challenges. With an increasingly volatile geopolitical landscape, the outcomes of this conference could have lasting impacts on U.S. foreign policy and international relations. In the midst of the Munich Security Conference, a significant rift emerged within the Republican Party regarding U.S. policy towards Ukraine. Senate Armed Services Chair Roger Wicker publicly expressed his dismay over recent remarks made by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, highlighting a divergence from traditional party stances on foreign policy. This unfolding situation not only underscores the complexities of U.S.-Ukraine relations but also raises questions about the future direction of Republican foreign policy in the wake of the Trump administration. During a press conference on Thursday, Hegseth suggested that a return to Ukraine's pre-war borders was unrealistic and indicated that NATO membership for Ukraine was off the table. These comments quickly drew backlash, particularly from Wicker, who described Hegseth's remarks as a rookie mistake. Speaking from the sidelines of the conference, Wicker stated, "I was surprised by Hegseth's original comments and heartened that he has walked back some of what he said." Wicker's comments reflect a broader sentiment among established Republican leaders who advocate for a strong stance against Russia, contrasting sharply with Hegseth's initial statements. Wicker, a longtime advocate for Ukraine, further criticized the implications of Hegseth's remarks, suggesting they undermine the U.S. commitment to allies in the region. "You don't say before your first meeting what you will agree to and what you won't agree to," he explained, emphasizing the need for a firm posture towards Moscow. His concerns were echoed in a recent conversation with Politico, where he labeled Russian President Vladimir Putin a war criminal and insisted that Ukraine deserves the support promised by the international community. The political landscape further complicates the issue as former President Donald Trump engaged in direct talks with Putin earlier this week, stirring unease among European allies about the potential sidelining of Ukraine in any peace negotiations. Trump's assertion that NATO's expansion provoked Russia's aggression stands in stark contrast to Wicker's views, which categorize the conflict as a clear battle between good and evil. "There are good guys and bad guys in this war, and the Russians are the bad guys," he asserted, reinforcing his support for continued military aid to Ukraine. As the debate over Hegseth's comments continues, the implications for U.S. foreign policy remain significant. Wicker's call for ongoing weapons shipments to Ukraine until there is a ceasefire signals a commitment to support Kyiv against Russian aggression. This stance not only reflects a traditional Republican view but also raises critical questions about how the party will navigate its foreign policy in the coming years, especially as it wrestles with the legacy of Trump's presidency. Looking ahead, the dynamics at play within the Republican Party and the broader geopolitical landscape will likely influence U.S. involvement in the Ukraine conflict. As Wicker and other bipartisan leaders advocate for a robust response to Russian threats, the party may need to reconcile differing viewpoints to formulate a cohesive strategy that aligns with both historical principles and contemporary realities. The coming weeks will be pivotal as discussions at the Munich Security Conference continue, and the global community watches closely for indications of U.S. policy direction under Hegseth's leadership. In a dramatic turn of events, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been sworn in as the Secretary of Health and Human Services (HHS) under President Donald Trump following a contentious confirmation process that culminated in a narrow Senate vote of 52 to 48. This appointment places Kennedy, a well-known vaccine skeptic and environmental lawyer, at the helm of a department responsible for overseeing approximately $1.7 trillion in federal spending on healthcare, food safety, and public health programs that affect millions of Americans. The confirmation process was marked by deep partisan divides, with Republicans largely supporting Kennedy despite concerns over his controversial views on vaccines. Only one Republican Senator, Mitch McConnell, voted against Kennedy, citing his own experience as a polio survivor and the critical importance of vaccines in public health. "I will not condone the relitigation of proven cures," McConnell stated, emphasizing the need for scientific integrity in health policy. Democrats unanimously opposed Kennedy, questioning his fitness for the role given his history of promoting discredited health theories. In his first remarks after being sworn in, Kennedy announced plans to implement a more robust program for monitoring vaccine side effects, a move that aligns with his contentious stance on vaccination safety. "We've got to get into the business of making America healthy again," he said, echoing a slogan from Trump's administration. This ambitious directive has sparked both hope and concern among lawmakers and health professionals. Some Republicans, like Senator Mike Crapo, welcomed Kennedy's vision for addressing chronic diseases such as obesity, suggesting that his leadership could bring a fresh perspective to public health agencies. However, skepticism looms large over Kennedy's appointment, particularly given his track record as a vocal critic of vaccination protocols. He is the founder of Children's Health Defense, an organization that has gained notoriety for questioning the safety and efficacy of childhood vaccines, often drawing ire from public health advocates. This history has led to fears that his leadership could undermine trust in essential health institutions like the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention (CDC) and the Food and Drug Administration (FDA). During the Senate hearings, Kennedy faced intense scrutiny about his past statements linking vaccines to autism, a claim that has been thoroughly discredited. Lawmakers pressed him to clarify his position, and while he denied being anti-vaccine, he advocated for more stringent testing and transparency in vaccine safety protocols. His assurances did little to quell concerns among skeptics, particularly after revelations that he earned over $850,000 last year from a law firm that has litigated against vaccine manufacturers. Kennedy's ascension comes at a time of significant upheaval in the federal government, where a wave of new appointments is reshaping the executive branch. Trump's administration has been characterized by rapid changes and controversial nominations, and Kennedy's confirmation fits this pattern. Critics warned that his leadership could exacerbate existing tensions around public health policy, particularly in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has fundamentally altered perceptions of vaccines in health agencies. As Kennedy prepares to take office, he has signaled intentions to initiate a staffing overhaul at HHS and its associated agencies, aiming to root out what he describes as bad decisions made by previous administrations. His plans include the potential termination of hundreds of employees at the National Institutes of Health (NIH) and other agencies, a move that could further destabilize the already tumultuous landscape of federal health governance. Looking ahead, the implications of Kennedy's leadership will be closely monitored by both supporters and detractors. His ability to navigate the complexities of public health while addressing chronic diseases and restoring trust in health institutions will be pivotal. The coming months will reveal whether Kennedy can indeed make America healthy again, or if his controversial views will hinder progress in an already fraught healthcare environment. In a decisive move that underscores a new chapter for the Department of Justice, DOJ Pam Bondi, recently appointed Attorney General, has swiftly aligned herself with the political ideologies of President Donald Trump. Within her first 10 days in office, Bondi has not only made headlines but has also sparked significant controversy with her aggressive enforcement of immigration policies and her outspoken defense of the Trump administration's agenda. Upon her swearing-in, Bondi expressed her commitment to the president, stating, "I am truly honored that you have asked me to take on this role, and I will make you proud, and I will make this country proud." This pledge appears to have set the tone for her early tenure, as she rapidly initiated a series of directives aimed at reinforcing Trump's hardline stances on immigration. Among her first actions was a clear commitment to utilize all available criminal statutes to combat what she termed the flood of illegal immigration. Bondi's early actions have included a memo to DOJ employees emphasizing the expectation to not only enforce existing laws but also to staunchly defend presidential policies against legal challenges. Her rhetoric has resonated with conservative audiences, notably during interviews where she accused sanctuary city leaders of neglecting public safety. This narrative has often been critiqued as racially charged, framing undocumented immigrants as inherent safety threats, particularly to white women. One of her most striking actions was the filing of a lawsuit against New York challenging a state law that permits undocumented individuals to obtain driver's licenses. At a press conference announcing the lawsuit, Bondi was accompanied by Tammy Nobles, a mother who tragically lost her daughter to a crime perpetrated by an undocumented individual. This emotionally charged backdrop served to amplify Bondi's message about the perceived dangers of lenient immigration policies. Her legal actions extend beyond New York. A similar lawsuit has been lodged against Illinois and Chicago alleging obstruction of federal immigration enforcement. Critics have swiftly condemned Bondi's actions as emblematic of a troubling trend in which loyalty to Trump supersedes the impartial execution of justice. U.S. Senate Democratic Whip Dick Durbin articulated these concerns, stating many members on the Democratic side of the aisle expressed fears that Attorney General Pam Bondi would put her loyalty to the president ahead of anything else. Our fears have been realized. Bondi's confirmation hearings were rife with skepticism, particularly regarding her potential to prioritize political allegiances over constitutional duties. The ramifications of Bondi's ascent extend beyond legal battles. Her tenure has already seen significant personnel shifts within the DOJ, notably the resignation of Danielle Sassoon, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York. Sassoon publicly refused to dismiss pending corruption charges against New York Mayor Eric Adams, which she asserted were politically motivated. Bondi's administration has been criticized for fostering an environment where political considerations overshadow legal integrity, raising alarms about the ethical implications of such a shift in the DOJ's operations. Bondi's lawsuits echo a strategy reminiscent of Trump's earlier attempts to curb sanctuary policies, which were ultimately stymied by judicial interventions. In her recent statements, she has expressed a desire for these cases to reach the Supreme Court, seeking to overturn laws that facilitate undocumented individuals' access to driver's licenses. If you are a state not complying with federal law, your next get ready, Bondi warns, signaling an uncompromising approach to states that diverge from federal immigration enforcement. As Bondi continues to navigate her role, the implications of her tenure are becoming increasingly apparent. Critics argue that her approach could set a dangerous precedent, blurring the lines between political loyalty and the impartiality expected of the nation's chief law enforcement officer. With her assertive stance on immigration in clear alignment with Trump's priorities, Bondi is poised to shape the DOJ in a manner that reflects the administration's values, potentially leading to a significant transformation in how justice is administered in the United States. As the landscape evolves, observers will be keenly watching how these developments unfold and what they mean for the future of legal governance in the country. In a rapidly evolving economic landscape, the United States is once again at the forefront of international trade discussions, particularly regarding potential currency manipulation amidst ongoing tariff disputes. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent has indicated that the U.S. is closely examining the possibility of currency manipulation as a retaliatory measure in light of escalating tensions with foreign trading partners. This development could have significant implications for global markets and trade relations. During a press briefing, Bessent emphasized the need for the U.S. to safeguard its economic interests, stating, "We are committed to ensuring fair trade practices and will not hesitate to take action against those who manipulate their currencies to gain an unfair advantage." His comments come as the Trump administration faces increasing pressure to address trade imbalances and protect domestic industries from foreign competition. The backdrop of these remarks is a series of tariff announcements made by the Trump administration suggesting the implementation of reciprocal tariffs in response to perceived unfair trade practices by other nations. Bessent noted, "If necessary, we will implement reciprocal tariffs to ensure a level playing field for American businesses." This approach aims to counteract any economic advantage that foreign competitors might gain through manipulated currency rates or unfair trade practices. Market analysts are watching these developments closely, as heightened trade tensions could lead to increased volatility in commodity prices, including oil. Recent data indicates that oil prices are stabilizing, but analysts warn that the situation remains fragile. The introduction of new tariffs could disrupt supply chains and lead to increased costs for consumers, said one industry expert, highlighting the potential ripple effects across various sectors. In parallel, Bessent recently concluded a visit to Europe where he met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss sanctions and U.S. financial support amid the ongoing conflict with Russia. This meeting underscores the interconnected nature of trade and geopolitical stability, as Bessent expressed that U.S. involvement in Ukraine hinges on ensuring that financial aid is directed appropriately. He stated this war must and will end soon. The U.S. has invested billions globally with little to show, and it is imperative we see tangible outcomes. Bessent's strong stance on trade and diplomacy reflects a broader strategy by the Trump administration to redefine America's role in global economics. As the administration continues to navigate complex trade relationships, the potential for reciprocal tariffs and scrutiny of currency manipulation may serve as tools to assert U.S. interests. Looking ahead, the outcomes of these discussions and potential policy shifts could significantly shape not only U.S. economic strategy but also its relationships with key trading partners. The continuing emphasis on America First highlights a commitment to prioritize domestic economic stability even as the global marketplace grows increasingly interconnected and competitive. The coming weeks will be crucial as the administration establishes its approach to these pressing issues, with the potential for both economic and political ramifications that could resonate well into the future. In a pivotal moment for President Donald Trump's administration, the Senate has advanced the nomination of Howard Lutnick as Secretary of Commerce, setting the stage for a final confirmation vote next week. The procedural vote, which concluded on Thursday with a 52-45 tally, saw unanimous Republican support and no backing from Democrats, underscoring the partisan divide surrounding Lutnick's candidacy. The Commerce, Science and Transportation Committee previously voted 16-12 to advance Lutnick's nomination, with notable dissent from Democratic senators. Throughout the debate, Republicans expressed confidence in Lutnick's ability to manage taxpayer dollars effectively, with Senator Ted Cruz, Republican Texas, asserting that Lutnick would ensure that legislation like the CHIPS and Science Act delivers the intended benefits. Mr. Lutnick will ensure that American taxpayer dollars are spent efficiently, Cruz stated during the floor discussion. However, Lutnick's nomination has not been without controversy. While Senator John Fetterman of Pennsylvania was the only Democrat to support Lutnick during the committee phase, he ultimately voted against the cloture motion, highlighting the lingering concerns within the party. Critics, particularly Democrats, have raised alarms about Lutnick's connections and the implications of his leadership on critical agencies, especially the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA), which falls under the Commerce Department's purview. Senator Maria Cantwell, Democrat, Washington, the ranking member of the committee, expressed her apprehension regarding Lutnick's commitment to maintaining NOAA's integrity, particularly in light of its essential role in weather forecasting and fisheries management. "I was looking for a stronger commitment," she noted, reflecting broader Democratic skepticism about Lutnick's assurances against dismantling NOAA. Lutnick, who serves as the chairman and CEO of Cantor Fitzgerald and co-chaired Trump's 2024 presidential transition team, is poised to become one of the wealthiest individuals in a presidential administration, alongside figures like Elon Musk and Trump himself. During his confirmation hearings, he pledged to divest all business interests to eliminate any potential conflicts of interest, stating, "My plan is to only serve the American people," and outlining a commitment to sell his assets within 90 days of confirmation. As Lutnick prepares to take on the role, he faces scrutiny over his stance on tariff policies, a key component of Trump's economic agenda. During his testimony, he defended the use of tariffs as a means to achieve fair trade, dismissing claims that they contribute to inflation as nonsense. Lutnick's assertion that the U.S. has been treated unfairly in global trade negotiations aligns closely with Trump's administration policies, which have emphasized aggressive tariff measures. If confirmed, Lutnick will lead the Trump administration's tariff and trade agenda and oversee the Office of the United States Trade Representative. As he steps into this high-profile role, the implications of his leadership will likely reverberate across various sectors, particularly in light of the upcoming tariffs on steel and aluminum imports set to take effect in March. Looking ahead, Lutnick's confirmation could significantly influence U.S. trade relations and domestic economic policies. As the Senate prepares for the final vote, the ongoing debates surrounding his nomination highlight the broader tensions in U.S. politics, where economic governance remains a crucial and contested battleground. The outcome of Lutnick's nomination will not only shape the Commerce Department but also provide insight into the administration's priorities as it navigates complex trade issues in an increasingly competitive global market.